Good morning, everyone. This is Debbie Royce, Empire State Development's Corporate Secretary. I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's meeting, and before we formally begin, I would ask everyone to please mute your line unless you're speaking. As we have our directors joining us by video today, we'll do a quick roll call for the benefit of those joining us by phone before we get started. Acting Chair Hope Knight.
Here.
Hilda Rosario Escher.
Here.
Sherry Gleed.
Here.
Cesar Perales.
Here.
And Benson Martin, designee for Superintendent of New York State Department of Financial Services, Adrian Harris.
Here.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining today. And Acting Chair Hope Knight, you can begin.
Thank you, Debbie. Good morning. Before I call this meeting to order, I will note for the record that I am serving as acting chair for today's meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development, for Thursday, April 21st, 2022. I'd like to ask everyone to please mute your audio until you're ready to speak. Also, I will ask that anyone wishing to speak, please be sure to state your name before you begin so you can be identified for the folks joining us today by teleconference. I'd like to note for the record that in accordance with current legislation, this meeting will be conducted by video and teleconference. I will also note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda by submitting their written comments by noon yesterday. I'd like to state for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda. As always, the directors have received the written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time during the presentation. At this time, I will ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, I will ask you to please make the appropriate disclosure on the record, and we will then remind you to recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such item or items. Hearing none, the first item on today's agenda is approval of the minutes of the March 24th, 2022 directors meeting. I'd like to remind everyone to state your name before speaking. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion, Hilda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Ross Levi will now present an item related to the New York State EDA Tourism Partners Subaward Grant Program. Ross, when you're ready.
Thank you, Hope, and good morning, directors. I'm Ross Levi. I'm the Executive Director of the New York State Division of Tourism and a Vice President here at Empire State Development. Today, we are asking the board to authorize the New York State EDA Tourism Partner Subawards Program. As part of the Federal Travel and Tourism Grant given to New York State under the American Rescue Plan Act through the Federal Economic Development Association, the Division of Tourism is seeking to competitively subaward up to $14.25 million to destination marketing organization partners all across New York State. ESD was awarded the EDA Tourism Grant late last year, and we'll be using those funds for initiatives that promote international tourism, outdoor recreation, and tourism related to meetings, conferences, exhibitions, group travel, and amateur sports. The strategy behind these subawards you're being asked to approve today is for regional destination marketing partners to complement our statewide efforts in those areas of focus I mentioned under the EDA grant, with initiatives of their own that will highlight their region's strengths and unique attributes in one or more of those tourism segments. Regional and county DMOs will be able to apply for awards of at least $250,000 each and scored competitively. The subawardees will need to be approved by the EDA before being finalized, and subawardees will then have up until September 1st, 2025 to complete their work under the grant. ESD will be contracting with a third-party vendor to help administer the grants, and we expect the application process to begin later this quarter. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions or comments from the directors? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval. Second,
Second, Benson.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Continuing with our agenda, we will now move to the report section, and I will start things off with the President's report. I will then ask Ray Salabarios, ESD Senior Vice President of the Division of Small Business Capital Access, to provide us with a status report of the COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Program. So good morning, directors, and hello from Western New York. I am currently at the Amherst, New York Town Hall. I just participated in an event with the New York State Commercial Association of Realtors here and have a full day of meetings with elected officials and other stakeholders. I hope you're doing well and enjoying somewhat an unpredictable spring season from a weather perspective. I'd like to begin by thanking the team at ESD for their hard work over the past few weeks and months as the budget negotiations continued virtually and at the Capitol. Governor Hochul's recently passed budget includes new opportunities and programs to ESD to move the state economy forward and to ensure businesses and workers have the tools they need to succeed. This serves as a tremendous vote of confidence in the talent and dedication of the ESD team. Here's a few of the highlights included in the budget. Something that I've mentioned in previous reports, the new Office of Workforce and Economic Development will be housed within ESD and will leverage ESD's relationships with businesses in coordination with the Department of Labor, SUNY and CUNY, and the regional councils. The over $1 billion Connect All initiative will retool our broadband program office and focus on accessibility and affordability. The budget includes more support for the state's small businesses, including the $200 million Small Business Seed Funding Program and the $250 million COVID Capital Cost Small Business Credit. The budget includes more than $11 million for our Division of Minority and Women-Owned Business Development to add staff and address the certification and appeals backlog. The governor's budget also includes $250 million for another round of the Restore New York Communities Initiative, addressing blighted buildings and properties in communities across the state. And it dedicates up to $200 million for Fast New York, investing in shovel-ready sites. All told, this is an exciting time for ESD, and we're seeing the results of the foundational work we've done over the past few months. I have the utmost confidence that the team here at ESD will rise to the challenges of implementing these programs and initiatives, serving as good stewards of the public funding that's been entrusted to us to support and generate economic development throughout the state. I wanted to share a success story from one of our New York Ventures portfolio companies. Brooklyn-based Block Power was recently named one of Time Magazine's most influential companies in 2022. It has been named one of Fast Company's most innovative companies in 2022. Block Power is a minority-led climate startup that retrofits buildings in low-income neighborhoods with solar panels, electric heat pumps, and other emission-reducing technologies. Their technology is currently being deployed in Ithaca, where the community is trying to decarbonize all of its 6,000 buildings with a goal of reducing emissions by 40%. It's also been used in parts of New York City, retrofitting more than 800 multifamily apartment buildings, 250 single-family homes, and more than 100 houses of worship and small businesses. In 2019, the ESD board approved a $1 million investment in Block Power. Congratulations to Block Power and its founder, CEO, Donnell Baird. On a personal note, I like to say that I met Donnell when he was at Columbia Business School and was working on this business plan about 12 years ago. So it's great to see that he's been so successful. I'm also pleased to share that Liz Luskin will be our new Executive Vice President for Small Business and Technology Development. Liz has a track record of driving meaningful economic development at the local level, working across communities, government, and the private sector to scale programs and meet a region's potential. She currently serves as president of the Long Island City Partnership and the executive director of the LIC Business Improvement District. In this role, she promotes economic development across the vibrant Long Island City mixed-use community. She previously served as the chief of staff and vice president of strategic initiatives at Polytechnic Institute of NYU. Liz also served as deputy commissioner of New York City's Department of Small Business Services, general counsel to the Downtown Alliance, and legislative counsel in the state's Office of Federal Affairs. She is a graduate of Yale University and NYU School of Law, and we look forward to her joining our executive team in early June. I want to thank Ray Salavarios for his wise counsel and leadership over the past few months, both running his own important programs as well as managing the division. I personally relied on him many times during my first few months at ESD, and I will always be grateful for his support. And with that, I conclude my report. I will now ask Ray to provide us with his report. Ray, you can begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Hope. Thank you very much. Good morning, directors. This is Ray Salavarios. I'm going to report on the $800 million COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program. The program has continued to support small businesses that typically have the least access to resources. The program strategically encourages participation from micro businesses, socially and economically disadvantaged business owners, minority and or women-owned businesses, and small businesses that did not receive adequate federal COVID-19 support. As of today, ESD has awarded $563 million in grants to 32,191 small businesses. The program has provided flexible grants of $5,000 to $50,000, with the average grant award being $17,500. As per the program's mission, 98% of the awards have gone to micro businesses. 46% of the awards have gone to socially and economically disadvantaged small businesses, and 90% of the awards have gone to minority and or women-owned small businesses. I will conclude my report on the COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program by also highlighting that the program and the program's success would not have been possible without the support and dedication of my colleagues at Empire State Development, who, along with the members of the Small Business Division, have worked together as a team in assisting New York State small businesses recover from the devastating impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you, and I will answer any questions if there are one.
Thank you, Ray, for your report. We will now move to the project section of today's agenda. Regional directors and program staff are on the line with us today to present their items and to answer any related questions. Steve will start things off with an item from our Western New York region. Steve, down the hall when you're ready.
Oh, thanks, Hope. Today we're presenting a $1 million CFA Round 7 grant for Roswell Park Cancer Center. Roswell is one of the nation's leading cancer research and treatment centers and is located in the city, on the city's medical campus. The grant will enhance Roswell Center for Immunotherapy. The project involves renovation of space and purchase of new state-of-the-art equipment. The project was originally supposed to be done by March of 2020, but was delayed due to COVID, but is now up and running. For those of you who don't know Roswell, it's a major employer in Western New York. It is really one of the preeminent cancer centers in all of the world. So we think it's a great project, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
I'd like to remind everyone to please state your name before speaking. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to item 2A as presented by Steve Golick? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion.
So moved, Benson.
Second.
Carrie? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. Jim will now present an item from our Central New York region. Jim, please go ahead when you're ready.
All right, good morning. Today, I'm asking the board to approve a $500,000 grant on a $6 million project to Syracuse Label. This was a round 8 priority project for the regional council. This will create, retain 102 jobs and create an additional 5. They provide an array of labeling products. This project includes renovation and machinery and equipment, and they have reached their first milestone to be able to draw down on the first part of their grant. And I would be glad to answer any questions.
I'd like to remind everyone to state your name before speaking. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to item 2B as presented by Jim Fail? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval.
Motion, this is Hilda.
Second,
Second, Benson.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Mike Reese is up next, and he will present an item from our Mohawk Valley region. Mike, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Hope. Good morning, Board of Directors. I'm asking the directors to approve a grant of up to $1 million from the Regional Council Capital Fund. This was an off-cycle project for Utica University to be used for a portion of the cost to construct a 23,000 square foot annex to the Gordon Science Center located at 1600 Burstone Road in Utica. Utica College was originally founded by Syracuse University in 1946. The college became financially and legally independent in 1995. And in February 17th of this year, the New York State Board of Regents officially granted university status to the college. The 23,000 square foot annex will house teaching laboratories for genetics and molecular biology, cell biology, biochemistry, and animal behavior. The facility will also have a geographic information system computing laboratory and flexible space for faculty-student research. The advanced teaching laboratories and the annex support innovative approaches resulting in improved learning and enable the university to grow the allied health profession program. The REDC capital grant of $1 million is 8% of the total project cost of $13 million, and the project was completed in February of 2022. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I'd like to remind everyone to state your name before speaking. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to item 2B as presented by Mike Reed? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments. Item, I will now entertain a motion.
Motion, Hilda.
Seconded, Cesar Perales.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Tom Scaglione will now present an item from our Mid-Hudson region. Tom?
Good morning, Hope. Good morning, directors. This is Tom Scaglione, Hudson Regional Director. We are presenting the Bethel Woods 50th Anniversary Project. The directors are requested to approve the disbursement of $600,000 to Bethel Woods Art Center for a portion of the costs associated with infrastructure site work, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and marketing at their site in the town of Bethel in Sullivan County. The total investment for the project was $3,052,455. Bethel Woods Art Center is a nonprofit cultural organization known for its designation as a National Register historic site of the 1969 Woodstock Festival. It has grown over the years into an internationally known arts and cultural organization that draws visitors to its Woodstock Museum, offering arts and cultural educational programs, and hosts major music headliners that draw thousands of visitors from around the globe. The project is completed, increasing capacity to the power service, water system, patio expansion, a permanently added metal detection system for the gates, improvements to parking lot lighting, as well as an added mobile kitchen, enhanced festival promotional campaign, improvements to the historic site, and support for future operations. The project invests in advancing placemaking and enhancing tourism in the Mid-Hudson region, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I'd like to remind everyone to please state your name before speaking. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to item 2D as presented by Tom Scaglione? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Benson.
Second,
Second, Hilda.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Sarah Longworth will now present an item from our Long Island region. Kara, you can begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Hope, and good morning, directors. This morning, we're asking the directors to approve a regional council capital grant of up to $1 million to RXR Glen Cove Village Square Owner LLC to pay for a portion of the cost of construction of a public plaza, which was part of a large mixed-use development in the city of Glen Cove in Nassau County. The project is complete and has a total project cost of over $90 million. This was a round 3 priority project for the regional council. The project was consistent with the regional council's strategy to revitalize downtowns and create a diverse housing stock, including rentals and affordable units to retain the workforce in the region. RXR Glen Cove Village Square is a private single-purpose entity that was created to develop Village Square. This was a 2.8-acre site in the heart of the city of Glen Cove and was previously an underutilized retail village. In 2013, the previous owner, GCVS LLC, owned the property and created a plan to develop this large mixed-use development on the site with 4 or 5-story office buildings with ground floor retail, 146 apartments, 13 of which are affordable. The previous owner had applied to the REDC in round 3 for a grant to assist in developing the large public square on the site and was awarded the $1 million grant. In 2016, GCVS sold the site to RXR Village Square, and in 2017, ESD permitted the transfer of the grant to the new developer. In addition to adding the much-needed rental housing in the area, this project created this large public plaza, which has really become the central gathering place in the heart of the community of Glen Cove. It's surrounded by restaurants and bars, so this become a place for outdoor seating, as well as the city programs it with the annual tree lightings, farmers markets, parades, and concerts. While RXR maintains ownership of the site and maintains it, the city and the city chamber in the bid do the programming of the site. This project is complete and the apartments are rented, and the applicant has met the terms for the first disbursement, including creating 10 jobs. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'd like to remind everyone to please state your name before speaking. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to item 2E as presented by Carol Longworth? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Benson.
Second, Sherry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Next, we will have 5 New York Venture investment items, which will be presented by Momo B, Clayton Bash, and Marcia Mitchell. After all 5 investments are presented, we will take a vote on each item. Momo, please begin with the investment in Block Power when you're ready.
Thank you, Hope. Good morning, everyone. This is Momo B, Senior Director at New York Ventures. We're asking the directors to approve up to $1 million and up to a $30 million Series B equity financing of Block Power. The company has received a $1 million investment from New York Ventures in January 2020 and a $1 million investment from New York Ventures in August 2021. Block Power is a minority-led software-enabled services company that uses machine learning, IoT data, and structured finance to retrofit energy-wasting buildings into energy-efficient buildings at scale, especially in underserved market segments. Buildings represent about 30% of U.S. greenhouse gas, 5 million mid-sized commercial and residential buildings in America's urban core are energy wasting and hazard to human and community health. Currently, building retrofits are expensive and difficult to scale. Block Power's software and financing facilities will provide low-income areas workforce development opportunities, green construction jobs, and access to building retrofit at scale to reduce energy bills and achieve 2 to 7% reduction in U.S. greenhouse gas emissions in the next 2 to 3 years at 10 to 50% of the traditional cost. The company has completed over 1,200 projects under budget and ahead of schedule. It has been selected as the program manager to fully decarbonize 6,000 buildings in Ithaca, New York, and has a robust project pipeline. In order to fund its activities for the next 12 months, Block Power is raising an up to $30 million Series B equity financing round. New York Ventures is planning to invest up to $1 million into this round, with the balance being provided by private sector investors led by Obsidian Investment Partners based in New York. As part of the diligence process, New York Ventures staff and an external investment advisory committee evaluated the company's business plans and growth prospects, as well as the terms of the investment. As a result of that analysis, New York Ventures and the IAC both agree the market opportunity and the growth potential offered by Block Power warrants an investment by the fund and recommend its approval. Next, we have Curator. We're asking the directors to approve up to $1 million in an up to $15 million convertible note financing. In Q2 2015, New York Ventures Fund invested $1.693 million into Curator's initial investment. In Q3 2018, New York Ventures made a pro rata investment of approximately $275,000. In Q4 2019, New York Ventures made a pro rata investment of about $291,000. In Q1 2021, New York Ventures made a pro rata investment of $500,000 into the last round. So Curator is an existing portfolio company based in New York City. It's solving the $528 billion suboptimal medication management problem in the U.S. by providing software-enabled clinical telepharmacy services to health providers and health plans that to make sure the right clinical interventions are made at the right time to optimize medication use and patients' health outcomes. During the height of COVID-19, Curator also offered its platform for free and helped healthcare organizations manage the medications of over tens of thousands of patients across multiple acute and ambulatory sites. In 2021, the company has signed pilots with very large healthcare organizations. If the pilots convert into long-term contracts, Curator will not only be able to generate significant revenue, but also provide significant improvements in health outcomes. In order to fund its activity over the next 10 to 12 months, Curator is raising an up to $15 million in convertible note financing. New York Ventures is planning to invest up to $1 million in the investment round, with the balance being provided by private sector venture capital investors, led by existing investor Deerfield Management. As part of the diligence process, the New York Ventures staff and the external investment advisory committee have evaluated the company's business plan and growth prospects, as well as the terms of the investment, and recommend its approval.
Okay, Clayton, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Hope. This is Clayton Besh, Director at New York Ventures. New York Ventures would like to ask the board for authorization for the fund to make an investment of up to $1 million in Airtonomy's $15 million Series A investment round, with the balance provided by other experienced investors. Airtonomy is a Grand Forks, North Dakota startup that won the 2021 Genius New York competition and is building its team in Syracuse, New York's Tech Garden. The company delivers a simple-to-use, multi-use platform for asset inspection of energy infrastructure like wind turbines, power networks, and oil storage tanks. Airtonomy's first product, a push-button, fully autonomous wind turbine blade inspection solution, enables customers' technicians to conduct drone-based inspections, eliminating the expense required of hiring commercial drone pilots and reducing inspection time. The use of this round's capital is to upgrade its platform and to build out the software engineering and sales teams in the Syracuse office. The New York Ventures staff and Investment Review Committee agree that the market opportunity and growth potential offered by this New York State company warrants an investment in the fund, by the fund, and recommends its approval. Are there any questions? Oh, sorry, on the next one. I apologize. New York Ventures would like to ask the board for authorization for the fund to make an investment of up to $1 million in Connex, $10 million Series A1 investment round, with the balance provided also from other experienced investors. Connect is a woman-led Brooklyn, New York startup based in the Brooklyn Navy Yard that leverages quantum mechanics, unique properties to provide advances in ultra-secure communication and computational power using the quantum communication. The company is building network devices that are similar to current internet switches and routers, but for quantum communication. The entangled photons that the company's product creates are unhackable and are critical components for enabling the next generation of quantum protocols. The use of this round's capital is to hire additional employees, expanding its R&D efforts, and to build out a dedicated quantum communication testbed in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And the New York Ventures staff and Investment Review Committee agree that the market opportunity and growth potential offered by Connect warrants an investment by the fund and recommend its approval. Thank you.
And Marcia, when you're ready.
Thank you, Hope. Good morning, directors. I am Marcia Mitchell, Director at New York Ventures, here to present the Series Seed investment opportunity for SimpliFed, Inc. We are requesting approval for an investment of up to $1 million in the $4 million Series Seed financing round from SimpliFed, Inc. SimpliFed, a comprehensive infant feeding solution, is a telehealth platform for lactation consulting based in Lansing, New York. By mid-2024, SimpliFed will also support families with high-quality, transparent ingredient formula. All of this is covered by insurers who seek to provide access to high-quality care and reduce long-term health costs to their clients and themselves. CEO Andrea Ippolito and her team have deep experience across health plan strategy, nutrition, and serial entrepreneurism. The company's pipeline and financial forecasts indicate between 1.5 and 6 million in revenue for lactation consulting alone over the next 2 years. They have recently signed contracts with nationwide health insurance providers representing hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term and material additions to revenue. In order to fund hiring and expand platform development over the next 12 to 18 months, SimpliFed is raising up to $4 million in a Series Seed financing led by New York-based institutional VC firm, The Venture Collective, with a $1 million investment. As part of the due diligence process, New York Ventures staff and the External Investment Review Committee evaluated the company's business and clinical development plan, as well as the terms of the investment. As a result of that analysis, New York Ventures staff and the IRC both agree that the market opportunity and growth potential offered by this New York State company warrant an investment by the New York Ventures and recommend its approval. I'll stop there and ask for any questions on this or any previously presented investment opportunities. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions or comments from the directors or any of these 5 investments? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to any of these items. I will now entertain a motion of approval of item 3A, the investment in Block Power as presented by Momo B.
So moved, Benson.
Second?
Cesar Peralta.
Hilda.
Carrie.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Now, for the approval of item 3B, the investment in Curator, also as presented by Momo B.
So moved. Sherry.
Second, Benson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Now entertain a motion for approval of item 3C, the investment in autonomy as presented by Clayton Fresh.
Motion Hilda.
Second,
Second, Benson.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I will now entertain a motion for the approval of item 3D, the investment in Quinect Inc., as presented by Clayton Besh.
So moved, Benson.
Second,
Second, Hilda.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. And I will now entertain the motion for approval of item 3E, the investment in Simplified Inc., as presented by Kim Mitchell.
So moved. Sherry.
Second, Benson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Toby Jayashimi will now present an item related to the World Trade Center Memorial and Cultural Program Land Use Improvement and Civic Project for our consideration. Toby, you can begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Hope. Good morning, directors. You're requested to affirm proposed modifications to the World Trade Center General Project Plan and to concur with ESD subsidiary LMDC's finding of no significant impact and determination of non-significance, the lead agency findings, pursuant to the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, and the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQA, and authorize staff to take related action. In November 2021, the ESD directors considered proposed modifications to the World Trade Center General Project Plan that would provide an option to build a mixed-use building as well as commercial uses on Site 5, including residential use with affordable housing, and authorized a public hearing on the proposed changes. And the LMDC directors considered the Site 5 environmental assessment, EA, which concluded that the proposed modifications would not result in any new significant adverse impacts not previously analyzed, and confirmed that the EA met the applicable laws and regulations. On January 12, 2022, LMDC and ESD held a joint virtual public hearing, and members of the public were able to deliver live oral testimony. Written comments on the proposed modifications, the Site 5 environmental assessment, and lead agency findings were accepted through February 15, 2022. The full transcript of the public hearing and a copy of all written comments are available on ESD's website. There was a total of 85 commenters, including local elected officials and community organizations such as Community Board 1, the Alliance for Downtown New York, the 100% Affordable World Trade Center Site 5 Coalition, Downtown Youth, and the Partnership for New York City. Overall, there was strong support for the proposed change in use to include residential as well as commercial use at Site 5. Included in the materials for today's meeting and available on ESD's website is the response to comments document prepared by the project team. The response to comments summarizes and responds to all comments, including those on shadows, socioeconomic conditions, transportation, climate change, and public process. Please note that in response to requests from the community, the draft mixed-use design guidelines will be revised and presented in the materials for the Site 5 real estate transaction, which will be the subject of a public review process at a later date. Also, the proposed modifications to the general project plan were revised to defer the override of local zoning until the specific proposal for Site 5 is brought to the directors. For reference, Exhibit C of the materials is the proposed final version of the modifications to the general project plan, and Exhibit D is the marked document which shows the revisions to the proposed modifications in response to the public's comments. Today, the directors are requested to affirm the Exhibit C modifications to the World Trade Center General Project Plan that would allow for, in addition to the already approved plan, mixed-use development that would include a minimum of 25% permanently affordable housing units, a connection to Liberty Park, and fitness and community facility uses. The directors are also requested to concur with LMDC's lead agency findings and authorize staff to take the related actions. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
I'd like to remind everyone to please state your name before speaking. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to item 4A as presented by Toby J. Yashemi? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Hilda.
Second,
Second, Benson.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Now I'd like to turn things over to Goldie Wexel, who will provide a summary of the administrative actions on today's agenda. Before I call for a vote on those 9 items, Goldie, please go ahead.
Thank you, Hope, and good morning, directors. As a reminder, in order to help streamline our board meetings, we previously implemented an oral summary presentation process in connection with the administrative action section of the agenda. You have received a full set of written descriptive materials for each of these items in your board materials, and rather than have individual oral presentations made on each, I will provide a brief summary of the items. At the conclusion of the summary, we will then entertain any comments or questions you may have. As noted earlier, we did not receive any comments from the public on any of these items. Following my presentation and any questions, the acting chair will then call for a motion to approve the entire slate of administrative actions, items 5A through 5I. The administrative action items submitted for your consideration today and for which you have received written materials are summarized as follows. The first one is a request to approve 3 payments pursuant to the Electric Generation Facility Cessation Mitigation Program. The first to the Dunkirk City School District in the amount of $1,139,982. The second to the Hendrick Hudson School District in the amount of $6,984,755. And last and third, to the Lansing Central School District in the amount of $265,472. These payments will offset reductions in tax revenue to the 3 applicants due to the closure of electric power generating facilities in their respective jurisdictions. Approval of these payments will bring total disbursements from the fund to approximately $50.4 million of the $140 million budgeted for the program. The next item is a request to approve an amendment to the Poma Tech contract originally approved in November 2021. Pursuant to ESD's procurement guidelines, because the contractor is now requesting an extension of greater than 3 months, director's approval is required. Poma Tech is a vendor with the Apple Research and Development Program currently researching the effects of invasive insects on the New York State apple crops. Their current contract totals $59,981 and expired at the end of March of this year. They are requesting a 5-month extension with no additional cost to complete the research. Item 5C is a request to increase the current not-to-exceed amount from $100 million to $150 million in connection with the Campbell Ewald contract. The contract is the vehicle through which most of ESD's tourism and business marketing is implemented. This increase is to ensure coverage of forecasted additional spending related to ongoing tourism and business marketing efforts funded through New York State appropriations. $45 million is the recently enacted budget amount and additional federal EDA tourism grants. Item 5D relates to a contract amendment with Henningsen, Durham, and Richardson Architecture and Engineering firm. HDR has served as ESD's mitigation monitor for the Atlantic Yards project since 2007. The firm's scope of work is defined by the project's Memorandum of Environmental Commitments, which describes the specific mitigation measures the developer is required to undertake for the project. HDR works closely with the ESD project team to monitor the site and ensure the developer's compliance with the Memorandum of Environmental Commitments. The proposed amendment extends the contract for 2 years with a 1-year staff option at a value of no more than $500,000 a year. Item 5E is a request for a contract amendment for the preparation of an environmental impact statement for the Penn Station Area Civic and Land Use Improvement Project. Due to extensive engagement with the Community Advisory Council Working Group and the resulting revisions to the general project plan, ongoing coordination between MTA and Vornado regarding transit improvements, moderating an additional public hearing, and preparation of additional response to comments, the EIS has expanded beyond what was originally scoped. An amendment of $1,050,000 to the previously amended $4.9 million contract is requested for a total contract amount of $5,950,000, 50% of which is paid by the developer, Vornado. A 1-year term extension to January 2023 is also being requested. Item 5F is a request to authorize an extension on a contract with Holland and Knight to advise on construction and lien law matters that affect ESD as the Belmont project's fee owner and ground lessor. The directors are requested to authorize the retainer's amendment to extend the term to December 31st, 2024, and to increase the available amount of funds by $250,000 for an aggregate of up to $500,000. Item 5G is a request to extend the term of an existing contract with the law firm of Emery Chelley, Bringenhoff and Abity. Over the past 4 years, Emery Chelley has provided legal advice and counsel to the corporation regarding state and federal constitutional law issues on an as-needed basis in connection with the corporation's activities. The extension will allow Emery Chelley to continue providing these services as needed. No new funds are requested at this time. This is simply a request to extend the term of the contract. Emery Chelley is one of ESD's pre-qualified firms and will be working at the pre-qualified rates. Item 5H is a request to authorize the corporation to accept and administer state appropriated funding on behalf of its subsidiary, the USA Niagara Development Corporation. The funds in the amount of $1.7 million are from the Buffalo Regional Innovation Cluster and will be used by USA Niagara to fund a grant to support a mixed-use residential hotel project at 311 Rainbow Boulevard in the city of Niagara Falls. Last but not least, 5I is a request pertaining to the Moynihan Station Civic and Land Use and Improvement Project to amend the Memorandum of Understanding with the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, DASNY. The proposed amendment is in the amount of $500,000 with a term extension through June 2024. DASNY is the New York State Public Authority authorized to act as a state code permitting authority and has extensive experience acting in this capacity. In June 2017, ESD and DASNY entered into the Memorandum of Understanding amended in December of 2021, pursuant to which DASNY acts as the state code permitting authority for all design and construction on the ESD-owned and commercial portions of the project site. The Farley Building operates as a commercial condominium, and permitting fees for condominium-related and commercial construction projects are reimbursed by the requesting stakeholder. DASNY is the permitting authority for all plans, constructions, and build-outs occurring in any of these units and in the condominium's common elements. Staff recommends that the amendment be ratified as described in the materials. I will now turn it back to our acting chair, who will call for any questions or comments you may have on any of these items before calling for a vote. We also have item-related staff online today as well to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Goldie. As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to any of these items. Are there any questions or comments from the director on any of these items? If not, may I have a motion for approval of items 5A through 5I as submitted on the written materials provided to the directors and summarized orally today?
So moved, Benson.
Seconded, Cesar Morales.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Being that there's no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. Hilda.
Second, Cesar Morales.
Thank you, everyone, for participating in this meeting, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.